Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
We've got some fascinating source material today sent in by you, our listeners.
Yeah.
Excerpts from an ancient Indian epic narrative.
Yes, and we're really digging into a specific sequence of events. It's all about strategic planning, a really major challenge, and then how power gets consolidated afterwards.
Right. And the key players seem to be Krishna, Bhima, Arjuna, against this figure, Jarasandha.
Exactly. Jarasandha, the ruler of Magadha, hugely powerful figure. And their mission, well, it's all geared towards setting the stage for a big royal ceremony later on.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The premise, the plan, where does it start? Seems like some other enemies needed dealing with first.
That's right. The sources mention Hansa, Dimvaka, Kansa. Their deaths basically clear the path. Krishna sees this and says, okay, now is the time. Time to tackle Jarasandha.
And the text is pretty clear about how tough Jarasandha is, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It paints him as, well, practically unbeatable in open battle. Says not even gods and demons together could take him down that way.
Wow. So a direct military assault is off the table then.
Pretty much, which leads to Krishna's rather ingenious solution.
Which isn't a big battle at all.
No, it's a personal struggle. Bare arms, no weapons, a duel.
That seems counterintuitive given his described power.
Well, yes, but it's strategically brilliant. Krishna understands Jarasandha's strength is his army, his kingdom, but his weakness, maybe his pride, his belief in his personal strength.
Ah, so bypass the army, force a one-on-one where ego comes into play.
Precisely. It's a way to level the playing field or even tilt it by changing the nature of the conflict. An asymmetric approach, really.
And the team they assemble.
Yeah.
It's not just random, is it? There's a clear division of roles.
Very clear. Krishna is the strategist, the policy guy. Bhima provides the raw strength, the muscle, and Arjuna. He's there for triumph, the text says. Maybe the skilled finisher or the symbol of victory.
A well-defined unit, each playing to their strengths.
Exactly. It's efficient. They know their objective. Jarasandha must be destroyed.
And this is all a setup for something bigger. You mentioned a ceremony.
The Rajasuya sacrifice for Yudhishthira. It's basically a ritual to assert imperial sovereignty, to be recognized as the paramount king.
Okay, so Jarasandha is a major roadblock to that ambition.
A huge roadblock. He holds many other kings captive, for one thing. You can't really be emperor if a rival is that powerful and defiant. Taking him out is critical.
And the plan relies on sneaking in.
Yes, a secret approach. They anticipate Jarasandha, out of pride, will choose to fight Bhima, the obvious powerhouse.
Playing on his ego, like you said.
Definitely. They need Yudhishthira's blessing first, though.
And he gives it. Fully trusts Krishna.
Completely. The text highlights Yudhishthira's faith. He basically says, if Krishna is guiding this, he considers it already done. Bhima and Arjuna pledge themselves to the mission.
So the stage is set. They embark on the journey to Magadha, but not openly.
No, they travel in disguise, as Snataka Brahmanas.
What does that entail? Why that disguise?
Snataka Brahmanas were learned men who had completed their Vedic studies. They commanded respect, could travel relatively freely, and, crucially, might gain an audience with a king. It's a way to get inside without raising alarm bells.
Even in disguise, though, their appearance is noted. Resplendent, but also filled with wrath.
Yeah, there's this undercurrent. They're driven by the injustice of those imprisoned kings Jarasandha plans to sacrifice. So there's a simmering intensity beneath the calm exterior.
And people seem to sense it. This idea that Jarasandha is already defeated just by seeing them.
It speaks volumes about their reputation, doesn't it? The mere presence of Krishna and the Pandavas carries this aura of impending change, of destiny unfolding.
The text then lists their whole route. Kurujangala across rivers like the Gandaki, the Sarayu, the Ganges, the Son. Quite the trek.
It really grounds the narrative, makes it feel like a real journey through a known landscape. It also emphasizes the effort, the distance they covered for this crucial mission.
Finally, they arrive near Magadha, near the hills of Garatha, and see the city. It's described as prosperous, full of resources.
Yes, highlighting that Jarasandha rules a strong, wealthy kingdom. They're not attacking a weakened foe. This is a power center.
And the capital itself, Raja. Krishna describes it as beautiful, but also naturally fortified.
Right, protected by 5 hills, Vaihara, Varaha, Vrishava, Rishigiri, Chaita. A natural fortress, making it very hard to assault conventionally.
There's also some historical context mentioned. Gautama Nagas.
Yeah, the text layers in these references, connecting the place to older traditions and myths, adding depth to the setting. It mentions powerful Nagas like Arvuda and Swastika associated with the area.
But even in this secure city, Jarasandha's ambition drives him.
That's the key. He's not content. His plan to sacrifice those kings is his focus, perhaps his fatal flaw, despite his secure position.
Okay, so how do they get in? They don't just knock, do they?
No, definitely not. They make a statement. They find the Chaikyaka Peak at the city gate, a place of worship, apparently linked to the city's founding king, Vrihadratha, and they break it down, just smash it.
Wow, that's bold.
It's more than bold. It's a symbolic declaration of war. They're literally tearing down a symbol of the city's heritage and Jarasandha's authority before even entering properly. A direct challenge.
Does this cause a stir?
Oh, yes. The text says omens were seen, bad signs. The city's brahmanas notice. Jarasandha himself feels something's wrong and performs a sacrifice to try and counter it. He knows something is up.
So after that grand entrance, they walk into the city.
They do. Unarmed, remember, just their bare hands, which again adds to the strangeness. Are they warriors? Are they brahmanas?
And they continue behaving oddly, forcibly taking garlands from flower vendors.
Right. It's another provocative act. Not typical brahmana behavior at all. It disrupts the peace, draws attention, keeps everyone off balance.
Finally, they reach Jarasandha's palace. Their appearance is described vividly.
Yeah, wearing colorful robes, those stolen garlands, earrings, like lions entering a cattle fold. Powerful imagery. It suggests their true nature is barely contained by the disguise.
But Jarasandha, he receives them respectfully.
Initially, yes. He offers the traditional welcome water for their feet, the Arghya offering hospitality. He sees Snataka Brahmanas, despite their odd entrance and attire, and follows the code.
He doesn't suspect who they are.
Not yet. But then Krishna adds another layer of mystery. He declares they're under a vow of silence until midnight.
A vow of silence? Why?
It buys them time, perhaps, lets them observe. It also maintains the enigma, prevents direct questioning for a while.
Does Jarasandha accept this? An audience at midnight seems unusual.
He does, apparently. He had a vow himself to always grant audience to Snataka Brahmanas no matter the hour. But he's clearly becoming suspicious. He remarks on their strange appearance when they finally meet at midnight.
And their greeting is odd, too. Let salvation be attained by thee.
Cryptic, isn't it? It sounds like a blessing, but knowing their mission, it has a double meaning. Salvation through death, perhaps?
Jarasandha must be really wondering what's going on by now.
He is. He invites them to sit, notes their radiance, but then he confronts them directly. He asks point blank, why the disguise? Why break the peak? Why force your way in improperly? Why refuse proper worship? This isn't how Brahmanas act.
He's putting the pieces together.
He is. He senses the inconsistencies.
How does Krishna respond to this direct challenge?
Very cleverly. He confirms, yes, they are observing the Snataka vow, but explains that Kshatriyas, warriors, can also observe this vow with slightly different rules. That explains their adornments, their garlands.
Loophole explanation.
Sort of. He then justifies their actions. Kshatriyas show energy through their arms, not just speech, hence the earlier silence. Entering an enemy's house improperly, that's allowed by ordinance, he claims. Refusing worship. Part of their vow while on a mission in enemy territory.
He has an answer for everything, and subtly confirms they are in enemy territory.
Exactly. It's a masterclass in justification, while simultaneously dropping hints about their true purpose without fully revealing it yet.
How does Jarasandha take this? Does he accept he's their enemy?
He pushes back. He says, enemy? I've never wronged you. Why do you consider me an enemy? He emphasizes his adherence to Kshatriya Dharma, protecting those under his rule. He sounds genuinely bewildered, or perhaps just defensive.
But Krishna doesn't let up.
Not at all. Now he gets to the heart of it. We come, he says, at the command of a royal line whose dignity you have affronted. And then the main charge drops.
Which is?
The kings. The numerous Kshatriya kings Jarasandha has captured and plans to sacrifice to the god Rudra. Krishna calls it a wicked sin, an abomination.
So the mask is slipping. This isn't about a personal slight. It's about Jarasandha's actions against other rulers.
Precisely. Krishna argues the sin taints everyone, questions the whole practice of human sacrifice. He criticizes Jarasandha's pride, his dismissal of other warriors' valor, reminds him that death in battle is glorious, unlike this planned ritual slaughter.
He's really laying out a moral case against him.
And a political one. He cites historical examples of kings destroyed by their arrogance. Then, finally,
The big reveal.
the big reveal. Krishna identifies himself, Hrishikesha, Sari, and the two with him, as the sons of Pandu, Bhima, and Arjuna.
No more disguises.
None! The ultimatum is laid bare: fight us, free the kings, or prepare to die.
How does Jarasandha react to that, knowing who he's facing?
He doesn't back down. He defends his actions again, saying he only captures kings defeated fairly in war, that it's his Kshatriya duty. He scoffs at the idea of freeing them now out of fear, especially since he intends them for sacrifice.
He's sticking to his guns.
Completely. He says, fine, I'll fight. Pick one, pick two, pick all three of you. I'm ready. Incredible defiance.
So he accepts the challenge. Does he prepare?
Yes.
Yeah.
He formally installs his son, Sahadeva, on the throne of Magadha, preparing for the worst, ensuring succession. He thinks about his generals, even mentions Hansa and Dimvaka, who, as we know, are already dead, maybe a sign he's a bit rattled or just reminiscing about past strength.
Meanwhile, what's Krishna thinking?
The text gives us a glimpse into his mind. He realizes, or perhaps knows through foresight, that Jarasandha's fate is to be slain by Bhima, not by him. He respects some divine ordinance, Brahma's command apparently, that a Yadava like himself shouldn't be the one to kill Jarasandha.
Interesting. So it has to be Bhima.
It seems destined. So Krishna sets it up. He asks Jarasandha, who do you choose to fight?
And Jarasandha.
Picks Bhima. Just as Krishna predicted. The strongest against the strongest. Pride dictates the choice.
The duel is set. Are there formalities?
Yes. A priest comes, brings auspicious items, medicines they're preparing properly for combat according to custom. Jarasandha removes his crown, ties up his hair, fully embracing his role as a warrior.
He sounds quite imposing.
The text compares him to an ocean bursting its limits. He even says to Bhima something like, it's better to be vanquished by a superior person. There's a strange mix of arrogance and respect there.
And then they charge.
They rush each other. The text compares it to the Asura Vala attacking Indra, chief of the Celestials. High stakes, epic clash. Bhima, spurred on by Krishna, advances.
And the fight itself. The description sounds intense.
Incredibly visceral. It's all bare-handed wrestling. Seizing, twining legs, slapping armpits so hard causes trembling, neck holds, pressing limbs against each other, pure strength and technique.
It details specific moves.
Oh, yeah. Stretching, drawing arms, striking neck to neck, forehead to forehead until sparks fly metaphorically, one assumes. Violent kicks aimed at nerves, punches to the chest.
Sounds brutal.
Absolutely. They're roaring like clouds, grappling like mad elephants, dragging, pushing, locking eyes like furious lions, striking every limb, using waist holes, hurling each other around.
The text even names some wrestling technique.
It does. Things like Prishtapanga, Sampurnamurcha, Parnakumbha. It shows this wasn't just flailing, it was a sophisticated martial art with specific named maneuvers, twisting limbs, feigned blows, intricate stuff.
And people are watching this.
A massive crowd. Citizens of all classes, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, Sudras, women, the elderly, packed together watching this epic confrontation unfold. The sound of their wrestling is described as thunderous.
How long does this go on for? It sounds exhausting.
Unbelievably long. The text states they fought continuously, day and night, without stopping, from the first lunar day of the month of Kartik.
Okay.
Right through to the 13th day.
13 days, non-stop.
13 days and nights. It's an almost superhuman feat of endurance from both men. They're perfectly matched, both incredibly skilled and powerful, neither able to gain a decisive advantage until the night of the 14th day. After all that time, Jarasandha finally begins to show signs of fatigue. He starts to tire.
The breaking point.
It seems so. Krishna notices immediately. He signals to Bhima.
Tells him to finish it.
Not exactly. His advice is interesting. He tells Bhima not to just overwhelm a completely exhausted foe to the point of death easily. He says something like, fight him only with the strength that remains in him.
What does that mean? Don't show mercy, but match his remaining level.
Perhaps. Or maybe ensure the victory is decisive, earned against an opponent who is still fighting back, however weakly, rather than simply collapsing from exhaustion. Bhima understands, though. He knows this is the moment.
So Bhima prepares for the final move.
He does. He gathers all his remaining strength, all his courage. The text says he lifts Jarasandha high into the air.
Lifts him. After 13 days of fighting.
Apparently so. Lifts him high and whirls him around 100 times.
100 times. The force must have been immense.
Astronomical. Then comes the final, fatal move. Bhima slams Jarasandha down, presses his knee against Jarasandha's backbone, and breaks his body in two.
Breaks him in two, literally.
That's what the text says. A gruesome end. Bhima lets out this terrible roar, which mixes with Jarasandha's death cry. It causes absolute terror throughout the city. People are struck dumb. Women suffer premature births.
A truly terrifying climax.
The people feared the Himalayas were collapsing or the earth splitting apart. The sound was so dreadful. Then Bhima, Krishna, and Arjuna just leave the two halves of Jarasandha's body lying there at the palace gate.
A very stark message. What happens next? The mission isn't fully complete yet, is it? The kings are still captive.
Right. Krishna acts quickly. He gets Jarasandha's own celestial chariot ready for Bhima and Arjuna. Then he goes into the city himself.
To free the kings.
Exactly. He releases all the monarchs Jarasandha had imprisoned for his sacrifice.
They must have been relieved.
Immensely. They're described as being rich in jewels, and they offer gifts to Krishna in gratitude. Krishna, unharmed, then leaves Girivraja, riding in Jarasandha's celestial car, accompanied by Arjuna, Bhima, and all the freed kings.
That chariot sounds special.
Very special. The text goes into detail. It was apparently used by gods like Indra and Vishnu in the past. It has Garuda, the divine eagle, on its flagstaff, making it splendid and supposedly invincible. It never strikes obstacles. Weapons can't harm it.
So a symbol of their victory and divine favor.
Absolutely. They stop on a plain outside the city, and the citizens come out, adoring them now, along with Brahmanas. The liberated kings thank Krishna again.
What does Krishna ask of them?
He directs them towards the larger goal. Go and assist Yudhishthira with his upcoming Rajasuya sacrifice.
Turning captives into allies for the main event.
Strategic, isn't it? They joyfully agree, offering more jewels. Krishna accepts some of them.
What about Magadha? Who's in charge now?
Jarasandha's son, Sahadeva, the one Jarasandha had installed just before the duel comes out with officials and relatives, he offers gifts and worship to Krishna, basically acknowledging his authority.
Does Krishna take over Magadha?
No, he reassures Sahadeva, accepts the presents, and formally installs him as the new king of Magadha.
Another shrewd move. Securing a friendly ruler rather than creating a power vacuum.
Exactly. Sahadeva becomes an ally, returns to his city, and Krishna and the Pandavas can leave Magadha laden with wealth, their mission accomplished.
And they return to Indraprastha.
Triumphant return. Yudhishthira is overjoyed, obviously. He honors Krishna, embraces Bhima and Arjuna. Big celebrations. The liberated kings are formally dismissed to go back to their own kingdoms, presumably to prepare for the Rajasuya.
Oh, Krishna leaves too.
Yes, his work there is done for now. He takes leave to return to his own city, Dwarka, riding that celestial chariot, which Yudhishthira gives him as a gift. The Pandavas pay their respects as he departs.
So Jarasandha is defeated, the kings are freed, allies are secured. This must significantly boost the Pandavas' standing.
Immensely. Their fame spreads. Yudhishthira continues his virtuous rule in Indraprastha. But they're not done consolidating power.
Right. The story moves on to the Digvijaya.
The conquests. Exactly. The conquest of the directions. With Jarasandha out of the way, Arjuna suggests they need to fill the treasury for the Rajasuya by making other kings pay tribute. Yudhishthira agrees.
So they launch military campaigns.
4 of them, simultaneously. Arjuna heads north, Bhima goes east, Sahadeva south, and Nakula marches west, each with a large army.
A massive undertaking. A coordinated display of force across the entire land.
It really is. The text then details each brother's campaign. Arjuna goes north, subjugating mountain kingdoms, deals with kings like Vrihanta, Senavindu, Viswagaswa. He conquers tribes like the Itsava Sanketas, Kashmiris, Trigartas, Daradas, Kambojas, right up into the Himalayas, even encountering celestial beings near North Haravarsha. He brings back enormous wealth.
And Bhima in the east.
Bhima heads east, dealing with the Panchalas, Videhas, Dasarnas. He even has a peaceful meeting with Sisupala of Chedi, interestingly enough, who offers allegiance. He conquers Kasi, Kosala, Malas, Vatsa, and many others. He defeats Karna in battle somewhere along the way. He goes all the way to the eastern sea, subjugating coastal tribes in Malakas, gathering immense riches.
Sahadeva in the south.
Sahadeva marches south. He defeats Sarasenas, Matsyas, Dantavakra, subdues Kuntibuja, fights near the Chirmanwadi River, takes on the Avanti kings Vinda and Anavinda. He battles Bhismaka of Vojakata, conquers Kosala, tribes along the Venwa River Kantarakas. He even fights monkey kings Minda and Dwivida near Kashtinthya, who become allies. There's a notable encounter with King Nila of Mahishmati where the fire god Agni intervenes. He secures tribute from Saurashtra, gets Rukmin's acceptance due to kinship with Krishna, deals with coastal kings, mlechas, nishadas, even mythical groups like one-legged men and cannibals. He reaches the southern ocean, sends messengers to Vibhishana in Lanka, who accepts Yudhishthira's supremacy and sends gifts. Sahadeva returns with vast wealth too.
Wow, these campaigns are incredibly extensive. What about Nakula in the west?
Nakula heads west, fights the Matanyudakas near Rohitaka, conquers the desert regions, Sarishaka, Mahita, subdues Sivis, Trigartas, Malavas, Karnatas, and tribes along the Saraswati River like Sudras and Abhiras. He takes on mountain dwellers, Ramathas, Harahunas, sends messengers to Vasudeva, Krishna's father presumably, or another ruler of that name, who accepts. He even makes his own uncle, Salya of Madra, accept Yudhishthira and offer tribute. He conquers Maleshas on the coast, Pallavas, Yavanas, Sakas. Returns with treasure carried by 10,000 camels, the text says.
10,000 camels. The scale is just staggering. They effectively asserted dominance over a huge area and gathered incredible wealth.
Absolutely. The Digvijayas achieve exactly what they set out to do. Yudhishthira's treasury is overflowing. His power is undeniable, demonstrated across all directions.
So now he's ready for the Rajasuya.
Now he is. His rule is prosperous, peaceful internally. His friends and officials urge him to proceed. And significantly, Krishna arrives again, bringing even more treasure and a large army, adding to the sense of power and festivity in Indraprastha.
Yudhishthira must be pleased to see him.
Very. He asks Krishna's permission and guidance to use all this wealth for the sacrifice. Krishna praises him, says he's worthy of being emperor, and even offers his own service for the ceremony.
Krishna offering to serve. That's quite something.
It shows his support and humility despite his own stature. Yudhishthira feels his success is already guaranteed with Krishna there.
Preparations begin then.
In earnest, they gather materials. Sahadeva is put in charge of logistics, coordinating with the priests like Damya. Others, like Indrasena, handle food supplies. They need to ensure all the visiting brahmanas are well taken care of.
Who are the chief priests?
Vyasa herself, the legendary sage, agrees to be the Brahma priest, the overseer. Susaman is the chanter, Yajnavalkya the Atiryu, chief executor, Pela and Thomya are hutris, invokers, along with their disciples, a real A-list of sacerdotal talent.
They set up the sacrificial grounds.
Yes, builders erect huge, beautiful structures. Yudhishthira sends out invitations far and wide, brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaisyas, respectable sudras, friends, strangers, everyone.
So people start arriving.
They do. Yudhishthira is formally installed for the sacrifice. Thousands of brahmanas arrive, his brothers, relatives, allied kings, officials. Craftsmen build accommodations for everyone, complete with provisions. The atmosphere is one of scholarly discussion, entertainment, and incredible generosity.
Generosity?
Constant sounds of give and eat. Yudhishthira gifts cows, beds, gold, even maidservants to the attending brahmanas. It's compared to Indra's sacrifice in heaven.
Does he invite his Kuru relatives from Hastinapura?
Yeah.
Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Duryodhana?
Yes, he sends Nakula specifically to invite them. Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Vidura, Kripa, Duryodhana, and all his brothers, Karna, Sakuni. They all come, apparently joyfully.
So everyone who matters is there. A huge gathering of kings and sages.
An immense gathering. The text lists many prominent kings. Salya, Samadatta, Pagadatta, Virhadvala, kings of Vanga, Kalinga, Malava, Dravida, Singhala, Kashmira, Kuntapoja, Virata. Even Sisupala of Chidi arrives with his son. And many Vrishni heroes related to Krishna are there too. Rama, Balarama, Pradyumna, Shamba.
Where do they all stay?
In magnificent temporary mansions, white, tall, filled with furniture, food, adorned with tanks, trees, jewels, garlands. It's incredibly opulent. Yudhishthira honors each monarch appropriately. The main sacrificial hall is crowded, like heaven filled with gods.
How's the event managed? It must be chaotic.
Yudhishthira delegates. He asks Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Aswatthama, even Duryodhana for help, placing the treasury at their disposal. Dusasa manages food. Aswatthama attends to brahmanas. Sanjay handles greeting kings. Bhishma and Drona oversee everything. Kripa manages jewels and gifts. Vidura manages disbursements. Duryodhana is tasked with receiving the tributes that keep pouring in.
Duryodhana receiving tributes. That's interesting.
It is. Perhaps a way to honor him, keep him involved, or maybe just a practical assignment. And Krishna. He takes on the task of washing the feet of the arriving brahmanas.
The great Krishna washing feet.
A supreme act of humility and service, signifying the sanctity of the guests and the occasion.
And the tributes keep coming.
Non-stop. Kings bring vast amounts of jewels, feeling it contributes to the sacrifice's success. Yudhishthira's wealth is compared to Varuna, the god of the oceans. Everyone is fed. Everyone is happy. The gods are pleased with the offerings, the brahmanas with the gifts. It seems like a perfect triumphant event.
Seems like it. But then comes the final day. And the Arghya offering.
Yes. The moment to offer special honors to the most deserving person present. The sage Narada is there, observing Yudhishthira's immense prosperity, recognizing the assembly as incarnations of deities just as Brahma had foretold. He identifies Krishna as the supreme being, Hari, born among mortals.
And Bhishma proposes who should receive the first honor.
He does. He lists the categories of people deserving Arghya preceptor, priest, relative, Snataka, friend, king. And then he declares that among all these powerful kings and venerable sages, Krishna is the foremost, due to his energy, strength, prowess. Bhishma says Krishna illuminates the whole assembly like the sun.
So Krishna is chosen for the first Arghya.
Sahadeva is tasked with presenting it, and Krishna accepts.
And that's when things go wrong.
That's the flashpoint. Sisupala, the king, Chedi,
who had met Bhima peacefully earlier.
The very same. He explodes. He stands up and vehemently objects. He tears into Yudhishthira, calls the Pandavas children ignorant of morality. He attacks Bhishma for suggesting Krishna.
Why? What was his argument?
He argues Krishna isn't worthy. He's not a king ruling a kingdom in the traditional sense, not the eldest, not a preceptor, not the officiating priest. There are older, more established rulers present, he says. Why Krishna?
He sees it as an insult to the other kings.
Exactly. He accuses the Pandavas of choosing Krishna out of potential gain, not merit. He says their reputation for virtue is false. He even brings up Jarasandha's death, calling it unrighteous. He questions why Krishna would even accept worship he doesn't deserve.
This is a serious disruption.
Huge. He basically calls the whole ceremony a sham, the honoring of Krishna like offering a show to the blind or a wife to the impotent. After this furious speech, he gets up and walks out, urging the other kings who agree with him to leave too.
Does Yudhishthira try to stop it?
He does. He follows Sisupala, speaks gently, tries to conciliate him, saying his words are improper, sinful. He defends Bhishma's wisdom and points out that many older kings approved.
But Bhishma isn't conciliatory.
Not at all. Bhishma basically says, anyone who objects to Krishna, the oldest being in the universe being worshipped, doesn't deserve soothing words. He declares that Krishna's power has defeated every king present, making him their superior, their guru in a sense.
He doubles down on Krishna's supremacy.
Absolutely. He lists Krishna's endless virtues. Heroism, success, knowledge, modesty, liberality, intelligence, beauty, firmness. He says Krishna is the preceptor, father, guru, priest, king, friend, everything combined. He calls Krishna the origin and dissolution point of the entire universe, the unmanifest cause.
A powerful defense, almost deifying Krishna.
Essentially, yes. He compares Krishna's preeminence to the best in every category, Agnihotra among sacrifices, Gayatri among chants, the king among men, the ocean among waters, the sun among shining things. He dismisses Sisupala as a boy who doesn't understand.
Does anyone else speak up?
Sahadeva, the youngest Pandava, makes a bold challenge. He says if any king cannot bear Krishna being worshipped, my foot is placed on their heads. He demands a reply, asks the intelligent kings to approve the worship.
And does anyone challenge him?
Silence. No king responds. Then a shower of flowers falls on Sahadeva from the sky, and an invisible voice praises him. Narada also speaks, saying anyone who doesn't worship Krishna should be considered as good as dead.
So the opposition is silenced, for the moment.
For the moment, Sahadeva completes the Arghya ceremony, honoring others who deserved it. But Sisupala is still furious outside.
What did he do?
He rallies the kings who left with him. He demands to know why they stand by while the Pandavas and Vrishnis seemingly insult them. He consults with them on how to obstruct the sacrifice's completion.
So he's planning counteraction. War.
It certainly looks that way. The kings with him are described as angry, pale, resolving to show their disapproval. Driven by pride and rage, they reiterate their defiance. Krishna, observing all this, perceives the imminent conflict brewing among this vast assembly of monarchs.
So the sacrifice that was meant to cement Yudhishthira's power ends on this note of defiance and potential war.
Precisely. The seeds of future conflict are sown right at the moment of supposed supreme triumph.
Okay, let's recap this deep dive then. We started with a very calculated takedown of Jarasandha, a mix of strategy, psychology, and raw power.
Right. Followed by the massive Digvijaya campaigns, The Pandavas asserting their dominance in all four directions, gathering immense wealth and consolidating power.
All leading up to the Rajasuya sacrifice, the grand display of imperial status. But that very ceremony exposes the fault lines, the resentments, culminating in Sisupala's dramatic protest against Krishna's honor.
It really shows how complex power dynamics were. The strategic planning was brilliant, the duel was epic, the scale of the conquests mind-boggling, but achieving universal acceptance, much harder.
For you listening, seeking that quick but deep understanding, this narrative is just packed with insights into ancient strategy, political maneuvering, the importance of ritual, and, well, human nature, pride, ambition, resentment.
Yeah, the detail is incredible. The journey, the fight descriptions, the lists of kings and places, it paints a very vivid picture.
And it leaves us with a really provocative thought, doesn't it? What does Sisupala's reaction, his fury, and his departure truly tell us about honor, tradition, and the fragility of power in that world?
Absolutely. What are the real consequences going to be? His war cry isn't just noise. It signals a major challenge to this newly declared empire. It makes you wonder what happens next.